Hi and welcome to my channel. Today I'm going to be sharing with you the things that I'm loving from organizing my kids' rooms. And so if you enjoy this type of content and other homeschool content, please remember to subscribe and let's get into it. Alright, so I briefly mentioned in some other videos and I posted a few pictures on Instagram of redoing my kids' rooms. I didn't make videos of it. I had thought about it, but honestly, it just takes a lot of time to move a camera around while I'm trying to do all the things, and I was painting and building things and, you know, in between trying to take care of a baby. And part of it was during my husband's spring break, so that was helpful. He was able to help more. But I was doing all the things and I was like, I should record it. But at the same time, again, it's just a lot of work. And it's a lot easier for me just to go in there and be focused and get things done than it is to have to worry about recording it. So I did not. But I will explain somewhat briefly here what was even happening. So my 1-year-old sleeps in the laundry room. Well, he did sleep. He doesn't anymore. He was sleeping in the laundry room from like 5.5 months till just like a month ago. And he's like 14 months right now, 15 months. He's 15.5 months. And so our laundry room is right across the street. The hallway. It's right across the street. It's a laundromat. He was sleeping over there. He's just right across the hallway from us. So he wasn't very far away. And our laundry room is like its own bedroom. It's humongous. It's ridiculous. But anyway, so he was sleeping in there and we were planning to rearrange kids anyways, just so he wasn't always sleeping in the laundry room. But we also have this baby coming in a few months. And so we were trying to figure out what we were gonna do. And this baby is a girl and he's a boy. So we were like, but all of our kids shared rooms when they were super little for a really long time. And we don't have enough rooms upstairs. We have 3 bedrooms and then the master. And so my 2 boys had their own rooms, my 2 older boys, and then my 2 girls were sharing, like they are still sharing. They shared a room. And that's kind of how it went. My oldest is high functioning autistic, so that we never really wanted to put the 2 boys together. They get along, but they also don't. And my oldest son is a little bit, you know, things bother him more than they bother normal people. And so it was a little bit hard, excuse me, for like to put them together in the same room. We're like, it's not gonna happen. But then when we ended up with our 5th child, this surprise baby, we were like, okay, we're gonna have to figure out what to do. So we thought about putting him with the 8-year-old son and not with my oldest is 11. So we're gonna put him with the 8-year-old son, and they all go to bed at the same time, but they don't go to sleep at the same time, right? They can read and do things for a little while in bed. So that was gonna be a problem. So finally a few months ago, I'm like, we're just gonna have to put the 2 older boys together. And me and my husband talked about it. We're like, this is going to be the best option. So that's what we did. We put them together and they're both still alive. So that's good. But we had to get like a bunk bed, and the rooms, we bought this house when it was 8 months old, and some of the house was painted, some of it wasn't. And so I just painted the walls in their bedrooms and put in bunk beds and all the things. So I'll show you, I'll talk about it and show you a few of the things that I like as far as how it's organized. And then our 1-year-old now just has his own room for a while. Eventually he'll share with this baby. And then when they're old enough to not probably be sharing anymore, we'll figure it out when we get there. But we're not there yet. So that's kind of what happened. We like transitioned everyone into new rooms and not everyone, but we did some different things. So I'll tell you briefly what I did, and then I'll show you the organization things. So in the boys' room, the older boys' room, we painted. I got them like a bunk bed because they had separate like individual twin beds. I had to get them a bigger dresser because we just had some that we had like found on like Craigslist or KSL where we live. And so we had to get them a new dresser. And what else did we do? Some closet organization for all their stuff. And while I was at it, I was like, my girl's closet isn't very functional, so we're gonna do some closet organization there. And then the baby's room, I painted as well because his room wasn't painted either, and moved my oldest son's dresser over there. And so now he has that dresser. and just did a few things in that room. And that was basically all, like, as far as organization stuff goes. But that's what we did. And in the process, I found some things that so far are working. This has been a few months and I feel like everything's working pretty well. So I just wanted to share with you some of the things just in case you're looking for organization, or you have, you know, several kids in one room and it's hard to figure out how to make it work when you have such little space with a lot of kids. And so let's start talking about some of these organization things. So the first thing is this dresser. Not this one. This is in my room, but we got them the same, my older boys, the same dresser that we already have. This is from IKEA, and I'll link it down below. I know people have asked about it before, and they have it in white. My girls' room has it in white. That's one that we just found, like, basically thrifted and got for their room. And then they have it, I think, in another color, but maybe it's black. I don't know. But I like the gray. Anyway, so it's tricky to put together, you know. Dressers, like the drawers, are what maintain the structure of a dresser. And so it's a little, like, flimsy, you know, and then you get the drawers in and everything's stable. But they needed a bigger dresser. And so they just split it down the middle like me and my husband do, which works out well. So they have 2 small drawers and the 2 bigger drawers. And so far it has worked well. It's held up, you know. They have tons of things on top of it, which drives me crazy. But I really liked these dressers, and they're at a lower price point than a lot of other dressers, which is really nice. The hardest part is we don't live close to an IKEA, and so you have to either go pick it up, you know, plan to go pick it up sometime when you are in that area, which is hard because if we all are all in the car, we cannot fit a dresser in our car. You know, like, it's like you have to take this 2-hour trip, just one person, just to pick up a dresser. Or you could do shipping, which can get really expensive depending where you live. Especially after the pandemic, I feel like it's gotten so much more expensive with their shipping. And if you are a IKEA family member though, I think it, like, cut the shipping costs down by a lot, maybe even half. And so that might be something you might want to join that, because it makes it so much cheaper. And so yeah, we just had it shipped because I was like, oh, the time and everything that it's going to take, the gas to get down there, it's not worth it. So we're just going to ship it. So this is the first thing, this lovely dresser. The next thing I wanted to mention is my son's old dresser. So it is also the same brand. I don't think they sell it in this color. I don't even know if they sell it exactly this dresser anymore. We, again, thrifted this one several years ago, and it's red, which I think is fun. But the problem was, so with the dresser behind me, these bottom drawers have strengtheners that run across the bottom of them that keep them from falling, you know, if your clothes are kind of heavy and stuff. And this dresser the red dresser has really big drawers, and it didn't have anything running through the middle. So my older son always had problems with the bottoms coming out. And so when we moved it into my baby's room, I was, like, on Amazon trying to find some drawer strengtheners, something that could run along the bottom. And I found some really great ones. I'm sure there's a lot of really great ones, but these ones worked really well. And they can be adjusted for, like, different depths very easily of drawers. And so I just put them on, like, you just screw them in, which is pretty easy because the wood's not that hard. And so you screw them in, adjust them to the size, and then you put the drawer back in, and now you have a much stronger drawer and it's so much nicer, and it's still, like, usable, right? I didn't want to go buy a whole new dresser. And so for organization purposes, all that, I'm like, okay, now we can still keep this, like, pretty good shaped dresser that's very big for what it is, you know, for one child, especially a toddler. And I didn't want to spend money to buy a new one, so it's like, we can keep it, and the drawers are stronger, and I don't have to be angry every single time the bottoms fall out. So if you have a dresser that has that problem, check these ones out. I'll link them down below, these drawer strengtheners. And again, you can find tons of different ones on Amazon. So this one I think came with 4, and so I put 2 on the bottom drawer because it's the biggest drawer, and then 1 on each of the other drawers. So far it's worked great. Okay, the next thing I wanted to mention is closet organization. So for my older boy's room, I found these wardrobe shelves from IKEA as well. So those were delivered as part of the whole shipping charge, which was nice, you know, to get everything at the same time. But they're deeper. So you could use them as a bookcase, but they're a lot deeper than a normal bookcase. So you wouldn't be able to see your books, or your books would like be clear in the back if you only made one row of books. But they work really well for inside a closet. And you could anchor them to the wall. I didn't know exactly how I was going to use them when I first got them. I knew that they would fit in certain ways, but I liked this configuration and put them in, and they are not actually anchored just because they're sitting just enough inside of the doors that if they were to pull on them, they would hit the wall and not tip over, you know, unless they used Hulk strength or something to pull on them. And so they're not actually anchored right now. And then it left plenty of space in the middle to hang their clothes. So that was the biggest problem. I'm like, we have these closets that only have a clothing rack at the top and don't have any shelves. We've tried a few different things. I put like bookcases in there, and there's still a lot of dead space. So these like wardrobe shelves provided each like shelf for one of my sons with lots of storage space for all of their stuff. Mostly like their toys or knickknack, you know, Play-Doh. Not Play-Doh, really. They don't store Play-Doh. Clay, I guess, is what I'm trying to say. They do clay, and Pokemon cards and things like that can go on these, and their shoes are at the bottom. And then they hardly have any shirts that really need to be hung up, mostly like church shirts and a few jackets. And so we just put those in the middle. And now they're both tall enough that they can actually take stuff off of it. For a long time, my kids couldn't get any of their clothes because the clothing rack sits up so high they couldn't get anything. It was so annoying. And so they'd end up just pulling stuff and breaking hangers. I was like, they're gonna pull the whole thing down on top of their heads. But anyways, so this is just much better. And I really like these wardrobe shelves. I did end up getting 3. I put, because again, I didn't know exactly how they'd fit, but I knew we could use the extra one. So my 1-year-old's closet is actually a small walk-in closet. And so I put the other one in there because in the future, I don't know, his room is the smallest, the 1-year-old's. I don't know if we'll have room for another dresser or even a big dresser because the walls are just kind of wonky the way they're shaped. And so it might be easiest to just store a lot of their clothes in the closet. So they have some shelving already. This is extra shelving. So once this baby's in there, there's plenty of room for all their stuff and blankets and everything. So that's kind of what I did. That was my thought process. It might change later. We'll see. But I really like them. And can I tell you something? It's a little bit geeky thing about me. I love the smell of wood. I love it so much. I grew up with a dad that does hardwood floors. And so the baby's closet, every time I open it still, it smells like wood, and I just love it so much. It just makes me so happy. So that's just me geeking out for a moment with you. So since we're talking about closet organization, we're going to talk about my daughter's closet organization. So whereas my boys have like hardly anything to hang up, my girls have more because they have dresses, you know, and they have a good amount of dresses, especially my younger daughter, because she gets them all from her sister. And so we needed a different idea for this closet. So I went to Modular Closets. I think Angela Braniff actually had used them, and that's where I got the name from. I can't remember. And they have a lot of, so you can design a closet completely from scratch if you want. That gets pretty expensive pretty quickly. They have just sections you can buy and design your own closet that way, right? It's not completely custom, but it sort of is. Or they have a few options that are already sort of configured for you, and you just choose the length of your closet. And so that's what I did, because we needed hanging that was lower, because my 6-year-old cannot reach anything super high. But we also needed stuff that was higher for the dresses. So, you know, all these different things that we needed for this closet space. So you get it. It comes in just a bunch of boxes. You put them together like cabinets, and then you're going to hang them like cabinets, right? They're going to drill into the studs. So it is a little bit of work. Okay. I have done some of this type of stuff before, And so it's not always my favorite thing to do, especially because it requires more, like I have to make sure my husband's around to help me hang these things because they're heavy. I can't hold them and drill into studs at the same time. So anyways, we got them hung. My husband helped with that, and even my 1-year-old found the stud finder and thought it was fun to run it along the wall. And so we got everything hung, and then we organized it all. And so far it's working really great. One of the hanging sections we're not even really utilizing right now because they just don't have clothes to go on it, and they couldn't reach it. It sits a little bit higher. And so maybe eventually when they have more like nicer shirts or something that need to be hung up. But the lower section has all their jackets, which has been so nice because that stuff they grab quite frequently. And it's nice that my 6-year-old can hang it back up herself. And then off on the other side, you will see in all the B-roll that I'm showing you that this is where their dresses are. And then the hampers are down below. We only had they did not want to share a hamper anymore. They've been sharing one for years. So in my boys' closet, you would have seen hampers, and then we got the same hampers for them. They're just from Walmart, but they're flimsy. And my boys' closet had room for 2 hampers, but there wasn't any skinny enough for the girls' closet. So we got the flimsy ones because they can squish in there. And then they can each put their clothes in them. And then we got some bins too at the bottom for their shoes. So they have more of their just everyday shoes and their big boots that go in the bigger baskets. And then like their church shoes or nicer shoes or even sandals that can go, in the smaller baskets. And so it's worked really well. It's actually stayed more organized than it normally does. You still have to go through and clean it, and then it has, all the shelving in the middle, and those, I think almost all of them are adjustable. I think there's one in the middle that the shelf has to stay there, it's secured to the outside walls. But so far it's really great. So yeah, I had to tear out all the old closet stuff. I patched all the holes, painted over it, hung the new stuff. So it is a bit of a process if you don't know how to do that kind of stuff. And it still, I think, was like $600 or $700. But we were gonna do it for both rooms, the boys and the girls, but I just didn't think the boys really needed all the stuff, like all the hanging and everything that the girls did. So maybe if we decide in the future we need that, we'll do it. But for right now, I feel like they work really well for their needs, which before they were not. They were not very functional. They were not helpful. They cannot reach anything. So now it's working super well. Okay, so now that we have gotten most of the big stuff out of the way that we organized, I was gonna show you some smaller stuff. My daughter already had a jewelry organizer, which she has one kind of, you can barely see it up here. Oh, this one's from Amazon, but I'll link that one down below as well. So she had that, but she also had still lots of earrings because when she got her ears pierced last year, we got her like a 100 pack, I don't even know, from Amazon. And so she had lots of earrings and necklaces and random things that would end up in random places. And I was sick of it. So she organized all this, but there's one of many, on Amazon. This is just the one of many. But she doesn't have too many rings, but it has a spot down here, like at the bottom. If you want to put rings, I'm losing earrings over here. Let's not lose that in the carpet. But you can hang tons of earrings, right? Hers are all like smaller studs, but it has spots too for dangling ones. There's spots for necklaces. There's bracelets and more bracelets over on this side and here. And then there's just little side compartments for miscellaneous stuff, or maybe things that don't fit perfectly into everything else. And so I just thought it was really good, and it just sits on their dresser and it looks nice. It looks cute in their room, but I think it would still, it's nice enough that I would use it as a mom. It's not like, oh, this is a little kid's thing. I feel like it's really nice and functional for anybody. The next organizing item that we really liked were Lego organizers. This was a priority for me with my boys because this was the biggest thing of putting them together in the same room. I'm like, how are we gonna organize all their Legos? Because they have so many, there's not enough room. And so what are we gonna do? And so I kept looking, I looked for shoe bins, basically, the ones that slide under the bed, because I'm like, well, we'll have room under the bunk bed. And so these are the ones I found, and so far they're working well. You know, obviously I would organize them differently than my boys do, but it's not mine to organize. Like, it's functional for them. I guess it's functional. I don't know. And it has a lot of Velcro pieces. So if you wanted to organize that, you know, because it's for shoes, so it holds several shoes. And so if you wanted to organize the Legos into very specific groups, you could. But it also would be nice for shoes. I got these ones because they have a harder outside and they have a zip cover on the top. And so they're more sturdy. And then my 1-year-old can't get into them because he can't undo zippers. And, you know, he couldn't pull them out from under the bed, first of all, because they do get kind of heavy. But we put 3 of them under the bed, under my boy's bed, and they fit pretty well under there. And sorry, my throat is still just recovering from being sick and it sounds great. Anyways, and so we did that, and then my girls have another one because they came in a pack of 2. And so I realized all my boys' Legos weren't gonna fit in the 2, so I bought another pack. So some of my girls' Legos and a few just other miscellaneous toy items they also have one that slides under their bed. So if you're just looking for some underbed storage that's sturdy, like, this was something that it's not being used for what it was intended to, but I think it works pretty well for what we're using it for. Okay, the next thing is these Sterilite bins. I love these things. We've been using these for homeschool stuff for years. This has Pokemon cards in it. This is one of the things that goes in the closet, but this size is really good. I actually really like it, and it fits a lot of their toys and things, so they don't just have different size boxes and boxes that are falling apart, you know, because once they use toys so much, the boxes start to fall apart. They also have some like smaller size. They have really big ones too, but they have smaller size ones, so you could organize even smaller little toys or things like that in those bins. But I've just found these helpful, and to have like something that's enclosed that everything's the same size makes it so much easier to organize and actually utilize the space that we have in the closet, instead of everything just being thrown in there a complete mess. Okay, and the last 2 things are just ways to hang things up in a closet. And so I got a tie organizer. They hadn't had one of these before. They just kind of would throw their ties everywhere, throw them like over a hanger, and they just end up everywhere. But I feel like this one's pretty good. Again, it's just off of Amazon, and it seems to hold the ties pretty well. And I even put one of the belts up here too. I just slid it through the little hole. But so far so good. They don't have a ton of ties, right? So there's still a lot of room. And then it just goes in their closet and is not in the way. So that's been really nice. And then the last thing is these hooks. I know a lot of people have mentioned these. Shea Whitney has mentioned one somewhat similar. They're kind of hard to see right there. For hanging jeans. Apparently they're really good for hanging jeans. But I've also liked them for hanging bags that are kind of awkward, you know, because if you put this like on a hanger, it's either too heavy or it sits weird, you know, and then you're using your hangers to hang up things that they're not even intended for. But these hooks, you know, it sits this way, but then it hooks, so it sits nicely like in the closet. Everything's flush and flat and not all wonky like it can get with other things. So I've liked those hooks for their backpacks and just a few of their other bags. All right, that's it, I think. I hope you enjoyed this really long video, and maybe just, you know, seeing what's been going on in our life lately, some projects that have consumed my time a lot. And also, hopefully you saw some things that maybe are helpful for you in trying to organize your kids' space or your own space. I feel so much better when things are organized, when they have a place, they have a purpose. It just makes me feel happier. And it's a lot easier for my kids to find their stuff when it's in a certain spot. And so anyway, hopefully this is helpful. And make sure to comment down below if you have organization things for your kids that you just particularly love, because I'd love to hear it. And I'm kind of an organizational geek. I love having things organized. And so I'd love to see what you use as well. And remember to give this video a thumbs up, and I will see you next time.